Sunday, look out for the hottest team on wheels. Mother, Jugs.
Stop calling me Jugs.
And Speed.
They don't call me Speed for nothing.
Well, let's hope they don't call you Speed for everything.
When you need help, they're always on the job. Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
Right after Battlestar Galactica here on ABC.
Battlestar Galactica will continue in a moment.
Tuesday, Starsky and Hutch go country with a moonshining farmer's daughter.
You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
With these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Now we got drinks? Oh, they free.
It all sounds like some bad movie.
All right. Hello, Mr. Wilson. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
And
you?
welcome back to Moviesucktastic. Now spiraling down the hellhole that is 1976. And I want to just say right here now, this was not planned.
Wait, what wasn't planned?
That we're reviewing Bill Cosby and Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
Oh, yeah, and then he just got
the
released.
day after he's been released on a technicality, the multiple rape.
Now I really have to catch up our podcasts because
Yes, you do.
if I don't, then it's a lost opportunity.
It is, really. So now you really got to
Yeah.
start doing something.
No, I have to do it. I'm not going to do work tomorrow morning at all. I'm going to do our show. I'm gonna play hooky.
I'm going to level a hole.
I mean, I have to do some tents because I'm having a barbecue on Saturday because it might rain a little bit out here. Yeah, so
That's how far it's gone now. You're putting tents up for barbecues.
well, if it rains, I mean, what am I gonna have? Like
It makes sense.
sit out
I'm
in the
not
rain? Gonna sit out in the rain?
You guys are really rushing into the whole COVID's over, let's just hang out together thing.
Well, everyone's vaccinated here.
Let's see how that new strain goes.
Apparently, Pfizer and Moderna are like over 80% effective against it.
That's not 100. That's good.
That's not 100. Yeah, but what is? Nothing is.
All right. Well, anyway, speaking of atrocities, Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
We had a listener who kind of dropped off a while back, and he had a real weird fascination with Bill Cosby, and this is if we hadn't already kind of parted ways, this show would do it.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
I mean, because we are going to talk about Bill Cosby in a normal sense, not just a film sense. But before Bill Cosby was released, it was my turn to challenge Joey, and Joey got a little snotty, and so I decided to punish him, and we did Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
What? Wait, refresh my memory. Why did I get snotty?
I forget. You said something, and I was like, "Oh, well, then fuck you. We're going to do Mother, Jugs, and Speed." I forget what it was now. It was
No. That's not what it was.
Trivial.
Yes. If we're both involved, it was.
Yeah, it was something very trivial, and I was
Well,
like,
I think I said something along the lines of, I thought it was like the Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox, and I got the name
that's
wrong.
right, yeah.
And you were like, no,
right.
Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
That's snotty, stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't.
You grab your monocle while you yelled at me? I mean, Jesus.
Actually, there was.
Oh, and by the way, real quick,
Yeah.
on the screen right now is Bill Cosby getting that vibrator massage which I said, I was like, I haven't seen this movie in 100 years. I could swear this is the movie where he gets a vibrator massage. And it was. Mm-hmm. And it was. So I was happy when that scene came on. I'm like, yes, I remember this scene. It's like one of those scenes that you just remember. Because, I'm a kid and I probably shouldn't have been watching it. Although the film is rated PG.
And speaking of confusing films, I had to share this real quick. The other night, I turned to Holly and said, I got A Quiet Place too, if you're interested. And she just kind of like shrugged and then, yeah, I don't care. I mean, what do they do now? They leave the blind hospital or the blind school? Like, do you mean Bird Box? She's like, yeah, same thing.
No.
Like, all right.
No. Quiet Place is a great film. It really is a great film.
Yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to the second film.
Interested to see. Now, I wasn't looking forward to this. I remember as a kid.
Well, hold on. I'm just gonna hop on what you just said. You were not looking forward to reviewing Mother Jugs and Speed.
No, I wasn't looking forward to watching it.
I wasn't looking forward to anything involved with this movie. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is before we get to the end, before we give it a rating, I really enjoyed this movie.
Really?
I really enjoyed the film.
Wow.
It surprised me too.
I remember very little from when I was a kid, but I remember as a kid, like I knew Bill Cosby was in it, but then there was no humor, so I wasn't interested.
Right. I mean, there are some elements of humor.
It's a very dark humor film.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be more on the humorous side, and maybe it's just because I like movies that are more with dark humor. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, and the 70s is a weird time period. And one of the big things was that every time they did some kind of police procedural or some kind of like life on the streets thing, they always tried to make it as realistically gritty as possible. The Freebie and the Bean, which was around the same time. Same thing with that. Clue, like they went out of their way specifically to show New York as being ugly and horrible a place to live.
Yeah.
That was back in the good old days when New York was the hell. and now it's a postcard.
Certain sections are still the same, but for the most part, yes.
Yeah, and probably part of it comes from what you're looking for in a film. Because I'm watching this now. Now I'm 47, and this film came out when I was, what?
4.
3 or 4? 4? No, 3.
No, 3. 3.
I don't remember. So I do recall bits of this on TV as a kid, but again, I just wasn't interested. 20 years later, I'm watching this, and like halfway through, I'm like, I know why this film's bugging me, because I want it to be DC Cab, and it feels like DC Cab. It has all the elements of DC Cab.
By the way,
DC Cab. Did DC Cab rip off Mother Jugs and Speed? Because they did. They did it right.
By the way, if we were with our old format, that would be the next film up.
Obviously.
Yeah,
right.
But DC Cab came out 7 years later. Came out in 1983.
Well, we've already reviewed all the Bill Cosby films now, haven't we?
Ooh, yeah.
Ghost Dad, Mother Jugs and Speed.
Ghost Dad, Mother Jugs Speed.
Leonard Part 6.
Leonard Part 6. The Devil and Max Devlin.
Devil and Max Devlin. I think that's like, as far as like just mainstream movies, that's it. And that was something I came up. Holly wasn't watching this. I'd watched this by myself because I knew it was not going to be enjoyable. I brought it up. I said it's weird that Bill Cosby, if you compare him to like
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Like Bill Cosby he's like a very famous stand-up comic. Went on to have a hit TV show, like a household name. Did not have one good film to his name. No, none of them. No, Richard Pryor, much, and it just. Like,
I think the difference between the two is Bill Cosby always tried to keep it cleaner than Pryor. He didn't care if it was an R-rated film, and I think those films tended to be better written and better made because they had a lot more freedom for the screen.
If I may be so bold, I would also posit that Bill Cosby stayed clean because he was eager to sell out to the mainstream, in like Hollywood or anything. That's
Sure.
why. So that's why he doesn't go around cursing. That's why he's an I Spy, and that's why all those other appearances in the Bill Cosby Show that he tried and didn't work, and then he tried to make it too realistic. So I think that's one reason why he stayed clean. And I just, it's weird because I remember being a child watching the Bill Cosby Show and laughing.
Oh, same
and
here.
enjoying it.
Of course.
I guarantee if I went back and watched those shows, the laughs would be dropped by a huge percentage. I don't.
Yeah, well, I have watched. I mean, because they still do. They do have his show in syndication still, even with all the allegations and the prison sentence. They still play his show.
Oh, and I have no problem with that.
Well, I'm just saying it's still on. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying I don't have a problem with that. I can separate the guy being a complete creep pervert and I like this show. Right.
No, I'm the same way. And I don't ever remember watching as a kid and like laughing.
Well, when I say kid, I think I was in middle school at the time.
When it was, I was probably 10, 11 years old. So, but the thing is, I remember watching it as a kid, and I always thought it was funny. I never thought it was like super laugh out loud funny. Mm-hmm. So when I watch it now as an adult, I probably still find the same parts funny, and probably in the same way.
I don't know. It's like I feel like as I get older, I have to be consciously aware of the fact that I'm viewing through a prism of age and not to sound too full of myself, but of I would sound full of myself if I had the word I was just thinking of, but more like tastes become more distinguished.
Well, sure.
And also Were you
thinking of the word superior?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, just making sure.
Well, I mean, there was this racist comic book store owner that I used to know, and I we'd have the conversation once where he would he was like shitting on the comedy in general, saying it's too easy to be comedy. Comedy's too easy, and it's not funny anymore. And looking back, I really think I was like, well, it could be that comedy itself is an inferior form and it's not actually worth any time, or it could be really that you've already lost your humor.
Sure, it's possible.
And so I'm trying to remain open to the idea that I might have lost some sense of humor of my childhood. I feel like I think I'm still a child today. I think I've really maintained most of it. But when you look at stuff like this, it's like, all right, as a kid, it was too adult for me, and as an adult, I still don't like it. So, is it me? Am I filtering it because of Bill Cosby? I don't know. It's a question to ask.
I don't. Yeah, no. It's an interesting question at that as well.
But anyway, this shitty film.
I enjoyed this shitty film.
Well, was it the rape? Was it the humorous rape?
Larry Hagman. You know what I kept thinking the whole time I'm watching him talk or listening to him talk is that Bill Hader sounds just like him in this movie.
Uh-huh.
I was just like,
definitely.
So it was so much, in fact, that I was like, I know Bill Hader was born in like Oklahoma or something. I'm like, is Larry Hagman from Oklahoma? Like, is that like like an accent that's in that area? And of course, Larry Hagman was just acting. He doesn't sound like that at all. He's born in Fort Worth, Texas, or something. So obviously the two do not match. But I was just like, Larry Hagman's character, what is his name? Murdoch. What a creep! He's basically the creep that Bill Cosby was later. Almost.
Well,
when he's talking to Harvey Keitel, when he's talking to Speed in the car, and he's talking about with the two 13-year-olds, he goes, How about you? What did he say? He was like, you pretty much says,
you put them both together, and then 26.
He said, how about you both hang out with me or like do something? It was, I forget exactly what he said, but it was sexual in connotation, like what he said. And he goes, how about you both do whatever, and I'll just say you're 26. It's like he's talking about having sex with two 13-year-olds.
Yeah. And then then he actually tries to rape someone.
Then he tries to rape someone that's unconscious because they go to a code 3 to pick up this woman that's ODing.
I think part of the reason I didn't enjoy the film is the direction. I think it's very static, establishing shots without much movement, and I think that's part of it. Well, 'cause I'm just thinking about Larry Hagman. There's the scene where they pick up the female wrestler,
Right.
and he starts trying to feel her up. Huh, that's so funny. He tried to grab her by the pussy. That's just, And then she gets him in a headlock, and I'm honestly watching this thing. I know I'm supposed to be laughing. I know and I feel like if it was done differently, I would have been.
This is what we review so many movies, so many bad movies, especially since we've been in the 70s. This wasn't, in my opinion, as formulaic. For instance, most of the 70s films that we reviewed have horrible music, whether it be songs, opening, titles, music during the film, end titles. But it's bad music throughout the entire film, often. This movie, it had like that 70s kind of disco kind of music, and then it had it at the end. It had it at the end, and that was pretty much it for the bad 70s style music. It did not go with that
the opening music.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying that they didn't do it the entire time. You know what I'm saying? It didn't follow that formulaic 70s TV movie style that most of these movies we're reviewing have.
Now, I'm correct in thinking 76, we're talking recession, right?
No, I think
I'm not a historical
recession, at least the real estate one that really was affected by it. There
was a recession in the 70s though. There was a gas shortage.
I thought it was late 70s and it moved into the early 80s. I don't believe it was happening yet in 76. I want to say that happened in 78, 79.
Huh. Yeah, it's hard to tell because I'd have to look it up. I don't know, but all these 70 films, even ones I like not DC Cap, used cars.
Oh yeah,
I love used, and I feel like there's not a disconnection here because I like used cars, and used cars is just as disgusting humor and just as lowbrow. It's not an intelligent film. It's a fun film.
No, it's fun.
Somehow that film's got me laughing my balls off. Mother, Jugs, and Speed. I'm just Recco Welch. You want to get this guy's dick out of his zipper, and they did it. And it's just the setup's supposed to be funny, and I'm just not laughing.
See, I didn't find myself laughing. I found myself smiling.
I'm not enjoying it. Let me rephrase it. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't like, ha, Larry Hagman. I feel like a lot of the film they were expecting the actors to do to carry the film.
Right.
Because the script is not. And also the script is very theme focused. If you look at DC Cap, for example, just look at everybody speaks in non sequiturs. They're not all themed. All right, the one guy has a problem. Like everything that they talk about has to be with that character's problem. Is Larry Hagman's got to constantly be talking about sex? Why? Well, because he's the sex pervert that rapes people. Okay, and then Speed has to talk about nothing like being a cop and just drugs and problems. Why?
Right.
Well, because he's Speed. It's like. Can we just get some regular conversation? And then when they do set pieces, all right, here's a whole scene. Get this: Bill Cosby's going to eat a hamburger with mayonnaise on it, and we're going to talk about this for a good 5 minutes, and he's not going to do anything funny. He's not going to have anything interesting to say about this. It's just going to be the scripted palaver that is not. It's just mildly amusing. Real life is funnier than this.
I think you're really laying into this film more than it deserves.
Well, maybe later my opinion will be overturned by complication, and then I'll have to say yes. But no, I expect something. I expect some again, like I said, the whole setup is right out of all right. We're gonna get some madcap group of people together. So how madcap are they? here's how madcap they are. The guy that owns the place is going to be talking to him like he's Patton. Please have a football, and they're not going to be interested. Yeah, but I need more than that. I need, I put it firmly on the shoulders of the screenwriter. It was Mankiewicz, who actually drove with ambulance drivers and got great stories, and then somehow turned into this boring. I'd like them to remake this, but Bill Cosby instead of that other guy.
They kind of did. Isn't
DC Cab? Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, DC Cab is taxis. This is ambulances, and I was going to go with the Scorsese film with Nicolas Cage. That was
Bring Out the Dead.
Right. Bringing Out the Dead.
Bringing Out the Dead. And I read the book too, by the way.
So I mean, I'm not saying that's a remake of this, but if you want to watch an ambulance film that has elements of comedy but is mostly serious, Bringing Out the Dead is the one you're going to want to watch.
Well, since you've already and wait till you hear the second half. What I was going to say now was that they should remake this, but Bill Cosby's partner driving has to be Nicolas Cage from Bringing Out Your Dead. So thank you for stepping on that.
So and it's Bringing Out the Dead.
See, whatever the fuck it is.
Bringing Out Your Dead. That's Monty Python. I mean, come on.
Ruined. It's called Ruined. That's what it's called.
It's Ruined. Good. I'm glad because you're too hard on this movie. We've watched so many shit movies, and this one I think you're too hard on.
Well, I mean, besides, I honestly the only part I actually laughed out loud in is when Bill Cosby's got the prostitute on his back with dildos in his ears, and he's giving a B12 or whatever
B12 shot
to the prostitute. And she says, "Yeah, none of that
funny business,
funny business like last time." And I'm like, "Oh!"
And he's like, "Honey, if you can't tell the difference by now," and then he puts the needle in her ass.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is fitting for the day after he was released for multiple allegations of sexual abuse.
Yeah,
over a technicality, no less.
Apparently, yes.
I mean, what was your favorite part of the film then? If you enjoyed the film,
My favorite part is it's not a part. It's the fact that it is dark. The fact that it does go to those areas. Like when they go up to that one call and the girl comes to the door with a gun on Bruce Davidson's character.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I need drugs." And he's like, "Listen, we don't have those kind of drugs, but I can get you drugs." And she's like, anything you got, Demerol, blah, blah, blah. She runs down a laundry list. And he's like, "Listen, we're not equipped for those kind of... Like, that scene is very dark, very real. Yeah, and then she calls him a liar. Funny. It's not supposed to be funny. And I liked it. But the thing is, here's the thing. I was pleasantly surprised that I thought I was going into this movie and it was going to try and be some shitty 70s, comedy with bad music
But that's what it promises.
I haven't seen this movie in forever.
I mean, like just the trailer, the opening credits, how it's promised as the wacky exploits of these ambulance drivers.
And my point being is I'm happy it wasn't, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more.
But it's not consistent through the film. Again, we start off with the wacky, ambulance owner with the football and the checker pants talking like Patton, and no one's listening to him.
Right.
And this is this place is a madhouse. Then we go to the apartment where the guy's dead on the fucking bed and the girl's strung out in the corner. It's like whoa.
Yeah, and I like that. You
can't go from Far Side to Boondocks and back.
Why not? It's about ambulance drivers going on calls.
But
some calls you might go in there, you got a guy's dick cutting a zipper, and another one you might show up where a junkie is dead.
No, but the consistency of reality, like DC Cab is consistent all throughout. It's dark and gritty, yes, but does Mr. T deal with real prostitutes on the street? No. Is that really as dirty as DC?
Because he's a cab driver, not an ambulance driver.
No, but there's still prostitutes in the film.
Of course there is. But these are ambulance drivers. These are EMT. This is what they deal with on a daily basis. So it can. My point is, you can go to one call and it could be something comedic, and you could go to the very next call right after that, and it could be something serious.
No. I'm not talking about the type of jokes. I'm talking about the reality, the tone of the reality. It keeps going from madcap to dead serious, or to dead realism. You have to choose one. If you're going to do dead realism, you do it all the way through. There are tons of movies with straight realism, with dark humor that I love. The Long Goodbye. I've often praised. That's like film has a straight theme and tone throughout. This one goes from Ace Ventura to like the Cable Guy, and you can't maintain that. I think that's part of the reason I didn't like it.
Well, I know what you're saying, but there are plenty of films that do this where
here's the madcap chase where all the ambulance drivers go to the same place and the kooky guy's got a gun. All right, and here's the part where we shoot him dead and the SWAT team's all upset. It's like the tone keeps shifting.
I enjoyed the shift. I did.
No,
I did. I liked being amused in one scene and then going, wow, that fucking got real fast in the next. I enjoyed that. Like before, when I was talking about them going to the one call and the woman goes to the door with a gun asking for drugs, right. And then she basically tells him he's a liar, and then she shoots him right in the chest, dead. Yep. Like, as real as you can get.
Yep.
Do you know that's Tony Basil?
Who's Tony Basil?
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine.
I didn't
that's
know
Tony
that.
Basil.
Okay.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're fine. Whatever that song is, she sings that song. That's
okay.
Tony Basil, like probably a good 6-7 years before that song became famous.
That song should have been playing in the background.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine. Hey, Mickey. I'm getting it wrong, I'm sure. But anyway, that's Tony Basil. Because I did a little homework on the movie, just a little, and it came up, and I was like, holy shit, that's Tony Basil. That's interesting. Yeah. Tried to have an acting career, ended up in a band. So, but I enjoyed. You're gonna like my challenge. It's a classic, by the way, and I think we should review
it. The golf course scene.
What about it?
I mean, here's like let's like I think Caddyshack's an example too. I know it's a different kind of comedy, but it maintains a tone, a constant tone, a level of reality.
Right.
And I just have to go back to that. We're going back and forth from Bill Cosby mugging faces while a prostitute dildos his ear. Then we're gonna go have him like talking down Raquel Welch because she saw a baby die in an ambulance. Like, what the fuck is going on here? What? It's just I'm okay with one or the other.
Well, you know what's interesting about that scene that you bring it up? Yeah. They keep talking about how two people died in the ambulance, and during the scene I took it because the baby sounded like the baby survived.
Right.
Okay? Because when she was first delivering that baby was not crying. And I was like, are they going super real? Because a lot of times the baby will not make noise until the umbilical cord's cut. Okay? But the baby started crying as the mother started hemorrhaging. Okay? And then the mother dies. Shoot to the next scene. Bill Cosby is talking about how they were not equipped for that. Even if there was a doctor there, he wouldn't have been able to do anything because they don't have that kind of stuff in the ambulance.
Right.
And then they started talking about how two people died in the ambulance. But Bill Cosby says, well, you saved the child. I mean, that's an exact quote.
They're talking about the other guy that dies earlier, the one with Keitel, the old guy that were transporting.
Right.
That's what they're talking about.
Okay. Because what I was trying to figure out...
Again, I'm not surprised that the screenplays lack clarity at some point.
Because I was watching and I was like, wait a minute, are they talking about the guy earlier? Because the way they said it was like two people died tonight, and it was like that scene wasn't so far removed, but it was far enough removed where I kind of forgot about it. And I was like, wait a minute, are they kind of going deeper into this dialogue, meaning like she died because someone died on her? And I was like, wait a minute, the movie's not that smart. I enjoy the film, but it isn't that smart.
Yeah.
So, but the baby did not die.
I mean, like, even parts that are supposed to be humorous, like, oh, Bill Cosby has this thing where he likes to run the sirens and attack the nuns as they're crossing the street. I know I should be hilarious. The concept of it as a whole, but
I never found anything hilarious. I just found myself smirking, like I enjoyed the scene.
Yeah,
Well-
I didn't even smirk. Again, I smirked with the dildo scene, but for totally wrong the reason
Oh,
they
for
didn't
the
expect.
wrong reasons, of course.
Yeah. But Larry Hagman, actually, I like some just because he has a natural. He was funnier than Bill Cosby was, and I know Bill Cosby wasn't trying to be funny in a lot of scenes,
Right.
But again, that's because he's playing it straight. He wants to actually do something.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of sounds like we're done.
And I was gonna
reviewing
have,
this
the
film.
dildo picture behind me, but I was covering Bill Cosby and it looked like she was putting it in my ear, and I wasn't happy with that. So that's why I went with that ambulance background.
See, I would have loved that. I think that would have been great.
Yeah,
I think that's a missed opportunity.
The film has a lot. I think the problem is, like, there's a lot of times where you just can't tell if it's trying to be funny or not. Like that whole sequence at the golf course is like, yeah, I know we're going for humor in some of this, but I just can't see how.
Right.
And then there are other times where, okay, yeah, I understand totally. They're ribbing each other. It's like it doesn't feel natural. It's just like it's totally scripted and nobody's laughing and nobody's having fun. And like the, I don't know, dry works, but weary dry doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I do know what you're saying. I do know what you mean.
I just,
but
if the film wasn't supposed to be like, again, this like madcap romp of a crazy ambulance company, if it wasn't supposed to be that and was actually supposed to be something like a representation of the real world, I don't know. Then I'd still be pissed. They're like, okay, great, but then the cop falls for Harvey Keitel with bandages around his head. Oh, thank God you're here. I said, what the fuck is going on? High-speed car chase. Then like they see that, like, oh, then everything's legit.
Totally legit.
I don't even think anything that's not good with this film is Bill Cosby's fault. I just think the screenplay I think was very poorly written, and I think the actors were expected to fill up the gaps, and it didn't work.
Right.
I'd rather go watch Freebie and the Bean again, which suffers from some of the same problems, by the way.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's again, these films weren't really widely loved. That's why no one talks about them much anymore. I mean, Bill Cosby. Everybody mentions the Cosby Show. They don't mention Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
No.
But if you bring up Richard Pryor, you're going to be talking about Stir Crazy. You're going to be talking. Shit.
You're going to be talking about Stir Crazy. You're going to be talking about
Loose.
Bustin' Loose. Even Car Wash. You'll bring up. You know,
even that.
The Toy. Which, by the way, the French version of the remake of The Toy comes out in 1976. So,
have you seen it?
I have not. So the thing is, I think
it's not bad, but it's serious. It's like a serious film.
So I think the way that works is, can we challenge the French film and do a double like The Toy and that, or do we need to get to 1981 to get to The Toy to review the 76 French film?
I think we have to wait to
get to 1981, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you can't go into the future. That's
if we're going back to do a double, that's okay, but not forward. I think that's fair.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is your challenge to me going to be a double? You're scaring me here.
It is not going to be a double. It absolutely is not. I was thinking.
Oh. Everything's falling apart. I'm sorry.
I was thinking about it, but I just don't feel like doing it. Well, because the movie, there's one film, it's from 1976, and then the other one's from like 2018, which is the remake. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't feel like watching the one from 1976. I don't think I even want to review it.
Yeah.
I really don't think I do at all.
Before we're done with Mother, Jugs, and Speed, which, by the way, Oxford comma, bitch. Raquel Welch.
Yes.
In the film. She was very eager to get the role, and I understand why, because it's a very emancipating role. But
there's Tony Basil.
What?
You have a slide of Tony Basil with the shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You're fine.
It's a very positive, pro-feminist, role, and I understand why she wanted to do that. But at the same time, there's so much rapey humor going on here. Are you really helping the playing field at all? Or
sure.
She
does tell them to stop calling her Jugs.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, the sexual harassment in the office is the most believable thing of the film, especially from '76. Yeah, I guarantee. This is like ripped right out of his week-long rides with the ambulance drivers. It's like, oh, you degrade your female staff. Oh, okay, I'm gonna write that in there. But it's just, and I hate to sound puritanical, but again, like the humor was so just like, all right, yeah, he's rapey. Yeah, that's
very rapey.
I mean, and again, like, the one thing I didn't get to mention was, like I said, they're not keeping the tone,
right?
And then the dialogue is boring. Like they're not talking about anything. Everything they talk about, it has to do with the focus of their character. I mean, I just go to the DC Cab and look at God damn it, Gary Busey.
Oh, sure.
Just the shit that comes out of his mouth. It's like, it doesn't have to happen.
Oh, man. I think my favorite line in that whole movie is the joke that he tells the boss's wife, which is, what does he say? He's like, do you know what the worst thing about 69 is?
The view.
The view.
No, that maybe.
Or is it the worst thing about getting giving a blowjob? I think it was for something along those lines. But it was from the woman's perspective, and he's like, "The view," and he says it like twice. It's hilarious.
I think my favorite, and I think my Holly's been doing needlepoint. I think I want her to do needlepoint for this. Is his if I'd wanted responsibility, I'd have become a goddamn sex surrogate. Probably a lot of words for that, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah,
maybe a pillow.
It's gonna be a bed pillow.
And then of course, all you got to do is put on a fish costume and blow the man. Just words of wisdom scattered. I mean, the thing with DC, like the characters were funny. I don't know. It's just I'm comparing it to a film 10 years later.
You're also comparing it to a film where people drive, but different careers and different vehicles.
Again, stop bringing that up because that's not what it's about. I'm not talking about the occupations and stuff. We're talking about the film's theme and tone. That's what I'm talking about.
I get it, but I think it does need to be brought up because they are two different films.
No, because again, I'm going to repeat myself. Mother Jugs and Speed sells itself as like a DC Cab, but when you get in, it's not.
Here's the thing.
It's more like a Freebie and the Bean.
I understand.
And Freebie and the Bean sold itself as being a DC Cab type cop film, and it's not.
I understand that's what the trailer did, but I can guarantee you that it was never intended to be seen that way.
The opening credits do that. The opening credits in that song hits. You tell me any other time in the film where you're as hyped up as that song is the high point of that film.
Yeah, the end credits.
Everything else is just
because they play the same song.
Sitting. Yeah, but it's.
I'm sure it was never intended to be what the trailer perceived it to be. I'm sure it was written differently. I'm sure it was directed with that intention.
I partly agree with you. I don't think the film ever intended to be anything except a $3 million film.
I didn't even watch the trailer for this. I didn't even watch the trailer for this. I went in blind because I haven't seen it in forever, and I never saw the whole thing. I've only seen bits and pieces. Like I remember the slide that's on the screen now, the dildo massage.
Check out the movie poster. It's like check out the movie poster. It's like an Animal House movie poster.
Yes.
And this is a problem with the '70s as a whole too. It's not just this film. I'm not dumping on every film we watch in the '70s.
No, I understand that. I mean, come on.
I'm trying to make because you're making me sound irrational here, and I'm trying.
No. I just don't agree with the hate.
We definitely don't agree.
Yeah, we don't agree. So I think rating this, which we should do now, because I think we're done reviewing the film.
I think rating is going to be easier than you think.
Well, it's currently a 5.9 on IMDb. And
don't what? Go ahead.
I want to round up to a 6.
No.
Yes.
No, this film deserves a 5.
No.
Deserves a 5.
There are much shittier movies that we've given a 6 than this.
This film is standard. There's nothing exceptional about this film. This film was like any other 70s.
I just apparently enjoyed it way more than you.
I gave in for you for the other film where you wanted a different score than me. I think you wanted lower. I'm calling that. I feel like I earned this one.
Okay.
I think I've defended my position on this enough for a 5. I'm not trying to knock it down to a 4.
Well, I think I defended it enough to get a 6.
Anything. Yeah, I don't think this deserves anything above a 5. 5 is standard, and nothing in this film, including Bill Cosby, goes past standard.
I'm going to allow your 5, but
are you?
Yes, I am. But obviously, we're going on record because the podcast will live forever. Mm-hmm. That I believe that it is better than that. I believe it is at least a 6.
No.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
What's the funniest line in the film?
The funniest line in the movie? It's got to be the 13-year-old line. It's got to be that line where he's just like, "Hey, how about you two sleep with me, and I'll pretend you're 26."
Yeah, I think I proved my case. Right?
No, you did not. Stop
All right,
it.
we're rating it 5 stars.
5. Stop it. I do like when the guy's leg falls through the stairs and he ends up with rabies.
Well, even that with the whole scene, and then the lady with she's on the gurney and she does the whole Three Stooges thing where she goes down the stairs in the street and she's going around cars and stuff. That should have ended in death.
I thought it did the way she hit that car.
Right, but so again, she doesn't. Right,
No, of
and
course
it's like
not.
all comic-y. So okay, we're in that kind of reality. Then we get all rapey again.
Well, yeah.
Again, like
It's all in a night's work.
No, but there's lack of realism versus realism, and
I think this job can go from comedy to serious. It just in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but within reality, I'm saying that the heavy. Oh, by the way, she's heavy. She's heavy and black, and we have to lift her. But beyond that, so they drop her. She goes down 3 flights of stairs into the street, swerves around a car and a truck. This is nowhere based in reality. This is madcap. This is madcap reality.
I'll agree that scene is that way.
First, it does not fit in reality. You can't put that scene in the same film as we found the dead kid and the woman strung out on drugs, and you can't put it in the scene where the driver gets shot by the drug dealer. It's too serious versus a madcap reality where things can't happen. I'm sorry. It's like talking animals. I draw a fucking line.
And again, it's New York City. I think it's a lot weirder than you're giving it credit for.
No, we're not talking weird. We're talking impossible, madcap surreality, like the madcap chase down the street on the gurney.
Yeah.
Again, that's like out of a Jerry Lewis movie. And that's fine in a Jerry Lewis movie. You don't put it in Bringing Out the Dead. Or whatever it's called.
Mother Jugs and Speed.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I know. And you're wrong, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. They are.
No,
what is happening?
Again, hey, Joey, believe me, I was agonizing over this as I got near the end of the film. I was like, really? It's not like I'm against dark humor. I'm not.
Of course not. No.
So near the end, I was like, why isn't this funny? And that's why I had to delve deep into this. And again, a lot of it I think it has to do with this film does not maintain a tone, and it's very common with a lot of '70s exploitation films because they're working on a guerrilla budget. This was shot for $3 million and it was shot guerrilla style. There's no time for ad-libbing. You're scripting these scenes and you're filming them.
What's interesting is this movie cost $3 million for the 70s. I feel that's high for some reason. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like they made Aliens for like 7 to 10 million.
Aliens was 30 million.
Was it 30?
Yeah.
What was Star Wars then? Maybe I'm thinking Star Wars was like 7 to 10.
And they cut their budget in half because Cameron was a genius with that stuff.
Cameron? No, Ridley Scott. That's how you got in trouble with Avatar.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but the world doesn't.
They're both overrated. How about that? That's why
Alien?
I can't tell them apart.
I love Alien.
No, yeah, I mean the directors, not the films.
Oh, the directors are overrated? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me,
Actually,
they have their quote unquote masterpieces.
The first Alien, by the way, is overrated.
I
saw one comedian that put it best, and I forget who it was.
Overrated by what standard, though?
I'm just about to tell you.
Oh, go ahead.
It's like I say, a comedian said it best, and I forget who it was. Otherwise, I would name where it came from. But he said like the whole film, like the first half hour is like real science fiction, space drama, and then the next hour is let's play hide and seek.
Yeah, that makes sense. But also, in the same exact breath, it makes sense. Come on, dude.
Films don't make sense. That's why we have suspension of disbelief. It doesn't have to make sense, but sometimes you have to choose a line. You have to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah,
and you have to stay consistent in that. That was my only complaint with this. That and Bill Cosby's a dirty rapist.
So real quick. So since we're talking about that, Jerry Lewis, Jesus Christ, Jerry Seinfeld, he's got like a YouTube show or like internet, I forget where it was, I think it's somewhere on the internet, called Getting Coffee in Cars with Comedians.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Well, Norm Macdonald is on the show, and he's in the car with Jerry, and he's talking about Bill Cosby. He asks Jerry Seinfeld if all these allegations, now this episode is like from whatever, 3 years ago. He's like, do you think all these allegations is going to hurt Bill Cosby's, credibility, career, and all that? And Jerry Seinfeld just flat out says, yeah, I think it will. And Norm Macdonald starts talking about Patton Oswalt. He goes, I had this conversation with Patton Oswalt. And Patton Oswalt, is telling me, it's like, with Bill Cosby, with the hypocrisy of it all, I think that's what's going to kill him the most. That's like the worst thing that he could have done to himself. I'm paraphrasing. And then Norm Macdonald goes, I don't agree. And Jerry Seinfeld kind of looks at him funny. He goes, well, what do you mean? He goes, I think it was all the raping. It's like, I think it was all the raping that's going to hurt him. But the way Norm Macdonald says it, the way he tells the story, the way he just delivers that line, that punchline, is hilarious. And it's just kind of like just what Bill Cosby was doing and all these allegations being that way, and probably the most famous serial rapist to ever live. He turns something that's so bad into something funny in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I still remember... God damn it.
What?
Famous dead comedian.
Bill Hicks?
I can't believe I can't think of his name. I'm done. I drank a little too much tonight. I apologize.
White or black?
White.
White. And he's dead.
I went to see him live, yeah. And I can't think of his fucking name. It's going to kill me.
Wait, Hedberg?
No, I never saw Hedberg. I didn't know about Hedberg until after he died.
Oh. Yeah, he was one of those guys that was like, yeah, I do drugs.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I do drugs. Mitch Hedberg, I believe his name was.
Mitch Hedberg, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I do drugs, but now I do them just for creativity.
I remember when I first heard his stuff, I remember I called you or something before texting was big, and I was like, dude, I just heard this comedian. We gotta find some stuff. Mitch Hedberg. You were like, he's been dead.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where have you been? I don't know.
He died, I think, at that time when you talked to me. It's like he's been dead for like a half a decade.
Yeah.
He's been dead for years. He OD'd because he was a heavy drug user. And he went on to say that, yeah, I still do drugs, but I only do it recreationally and for creativity purposes. And it's like, yeah, obviously you didn't.
Yeah.
Trying to be real creative that night and OD'd.
Hey, cut him some slack.
Sure.
What?
He's dead. What is he going to do?
I mean, still, it's not,
Listen.
You gotta beat up on him.
It's not like he was doing all the hard stuff.
That was
he was
the
doing
punishment.
All the bad stuff.
Yeah, and a bad thing happened to him because of it. He's kind of like paid the karmic dues.
I'm trying to think of what.
Now, Bill Cosby raped a bunch of women. Now he's out scot-free saying, oh, I've always denied the charges. Like, oh, you. Leonard Part 7 coming up.
There you go. Who is this dead comedian? Like, was he prominent in the 70s?
Oh, no, yeah, he's huge.
In the 60s?
George Carlin.
George Carlin. Okay.
Jesus Christ. See, that's the name I couldn't fucking remember.
George Carlin, okay.
Yeah. I was only mentioning because I think it was in his it was one of his shows in the '90s where he does a whole thing on how rape is funny.
Rape is funny.
Yeah, he's like they say, oh, you can't make fun of rape. Rape is funny, and then he went on to do 10 minutes of the funniest rape material you've ever heard. You know, because there's funny and there's not funny. You know,
Right.
This one, not funny rape. Frenzy, funny rape.
Ooh.
Come on. No, what did he say? Lovely. Lovely.
Oh my God.
Next time you make love to your wife, go do this. Lovely.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. No.
Oh man, I'm making myself nauseous.
Yeah.
All right, so we're finished with Mother, Jugs, and Speed. What are you gonna make me watch? You said you sounded like it was a fun thing.
I wouldn't say it's fun. It's a classic.
Okay.
And I just looked it up because I couldn't remember. I just know Dustin Hoffman made a movie about the comedian, but I was going to say Lenny Bruce. That was going to be the next comedian, but you got it. You said it. You remembered it was George Carlin.
Right.
Okay, so this film, we're obviously staying in 1976. The way the format works is if I felt we were done with 76, I'd move us to 1977. We are not done with 1976. Although I cannot wait to get out of the 70s. I can't wait to get into the 80s because the 80s are going to be so much fun. I don't know if we're ever going to leave the 80s.
Well, we've already reviewed a lot of films in the 80s.
We did, and it's a matter of, like, do we want to review these other tinier, smaller movies? Do we want to not waste time, but do we even want to bother?
Well, and that's why we kind of we weigh into it. I can tell you right here, right now, 1980s. We reviewed 92 films from the 80s.
92, huh?
92 in the entire 1980s.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
And that's not just mentioning. That's like specifically that's the theme of the show. Yeah, and that's next to 2010. That's the highest month. Like in the 70s, we've only reviewed 31 films from the 70s.
Wow. And you know what? That's only because we just went to this format.
Right, it was lower before then.
Yeah, it was probably under 10.
Yeah, so we're going to bypass our 2010 pretty quickly if we do 1980s.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got a real quick capsule review for you.
Sure.
You know that new George Romero film that was unearthed? Like there's that classic George Romero film that he shot and it's been restored and we thought lost. Have you seen anything about that?
No, I haven't.
Really? All right. Well, look it up. I've already watched it, and I'll just sum it up for you. It's shit.
Is it a zombie movie? Horror?
No.
It's horror film at all?
Apparently, an amusement park hired him to shoot a film to advertise the park, and he shot this weird ass horror thing with an old guy being bludgeoned.
Oh.
And and I don't know. I forget what year it was made, and like if it was what part of his career. It's not a good film. It's as far as like a curiosity. Yeah, great. I'm gonna keep it, but it's just as mediocre as most of George Romero's career was.
How long was this? Was it a feature-length film?
It's like an hour.
It's an hour?
Yeah.
Was it the Iron City Ass Kickers? No.
No.
Because I'm looking at his IMDb, and it doesn't even mention anything like that. Unless they put it, like, let's say he did it in 1983. Like, if I look at his IMDb and it goes all the way back to when he actually filmed it, not when it was released.
No, it's going to be the time he made it.
The amusement park?
That's it.
So that's 1973. It was the same year he directed The Crazies.
Yeah, it's garbage. If it was a student film, it'd be great.
And
if it was like a bunch of kids doing something on their own, it would have been like, oh, this is awesome. They pulled this together. The fact that it's a guy that's already making films,
right,
and this is what he cranked out. No wonder they didn't want it released. I feel like I'm getting equal parts easier on films and harsher on films.
They gave it a 4K restoration.
Yeah, it was worth every frame. No.
It was released June 8th, 2021. It's 54 minutes long.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. I'll watch it.
No, I'm not saying don't watch it, but I'm just saying don't expect much.
Trailer. The amusement park is the scariest film Romero ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they have to say that because they're trying to sell it in some way.
I actually like a lot of what Shudder does. This is not one of them.
Well.
So what are you challenging me to here?
All right. So it's we're in 1976. We're staying there.
Right. Yeah.
It's a classic. It's an absolute classic.
Is the lead star a rapist?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is there rape in the film? The fact you have to think about it is a warning sign.
No. Well, no. Well, listen. I've seen the movie a ton of times, and I'm trying to remember. Is there even anything that alludes to someone trying to even get something over on somebody in that way?
Let's be fair.
I'm going to say no.
Of course there is.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, and if it is, it's going to be one of those things where it might be attempted and then stopped.
So
because it's not that kind of movie.
Give me something.
All right. Let's see. What could I give you? I mean, I can give you the director, but well, you might not get it if I give you the director because he's made so many movies. Here, let me do this. It did have a remake in 2005, but let me give you the main actor, the number one star. Well, you won't know by his name. It's Austin Stoker. But
oh, I know.
You know what it is?
I think so. Give me a hint.
Well,
actually, let me take a stab in the dark. Who Can Kill a Child?
No.
Ah, fuck.
No.
So going for a long shot. All right.
So it takes place in a police precinct.
Oh, I know this.
It should that should be enough right there, but I can give you a little more.
Mm-hmm.
There is.
It's not Fort Apache, the Bronx.
No.
No, that's a different year.
There is assault involved. Just gave you a piece of the title.
Is this Assault on Precinct 13?
Of course it is.
We haven't done that already?
No.
Hold on, let me bring up my chart. Hold on.
Bring it up, but I'm positive we haven't done it.
Again, the only films we've done in 1973, 76. We haven't done any films from 76. No, yes we have. Hang on a second. This is all fucked up. I gotta sort by year. ...1976, we've reviewed JD's Revenge, Ape, Bugsy Malone, God Told Me To, Death Machines. You are correct. We have not reviewed it formally.
I have, obviously, 76 is just teeming with potential as far as movie reviews. I had a backup, but I won't need it. I'll probably do it after next week.
Assault on Precinct 13, that's a fun one.
It is a fun one, and it's classic.
I already have my memes made for that.
Yeah. It's a classic.
No, shut up. Save it for next week.
Okay.
I was talking to me, not you.
Yeah. It's a John Carpenter, obviously, directed film.
Yep.
It's an absolute classic. John Carpenter, I mean, there was a point in time where he stopped making good films. You know?
Ghost of Mars.
What was the movie he made? What was the movie he made right before Ghost of Mars?
Vampires. That straddled the line. It was like,
that
all right,
was
it's not good, but it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the kind of stuff I can't do anymore. It's like on Facebook, I've had people that I know that like films. They invite me to these film, like Joe Bob Briggs' film group, but then everybody just posts shit, and I don't want to get in arguments online. It's not fun. And then like you see someone post a line like they post like just to get someone to talk about it. Say, Ghost of Mars is not a bad film not as bad as the film you thought it was. I'm like, yes, it was, but I'm not going to weigh in on that because I'm right. So move on. That's an actual title I saw recently. It was like Ghost of Mars was not. John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars was not a bad film. Here's why. Like, no, you already lost conversation.
Yeah, no, I get those posts all the time just because people just, I don't know. I'm done. I'm done with social media. It is clickbait. I'll go on there just to kind of see what's happening for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then by the time I'm done, I'm just annoyed. I'm like, I don't know why I even bothered. And it's every time I do it.
I just go on to talk to friends and piss off relatives. That's really the only reason
Well,
to
there
go
you
on
go.
anymore.
That's the most fun.
Yeah.
But
I thought I had one of them blocking me last week. It almost happened.
Almost?
I was like, I kept checking for like 3 days to see if he unfriended me. It's like, no, damn it. I had a glutton for punishment. All right.
Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah. Nice boat, Dick.
But yeah, Assault on Precinct 13, excellent. I might even get Mayor to be able to watch this one with me.
And that's why you're asking about doing the remake. Talked about that too.
Yeah, I did mention it earlier because it's
Honestly,
one of those. Yeah.
Even if we were going to review the remake, it's like I'm so uninterested in reviewing the remake. I've seen it.
I've seen it too.
And I have it because I'm a completist when it comes to my film collections, but it has nothing to offer. It's like those remakes where it's like the Hitcher remakes. It's, not only did you not need to do this, but you didn't even do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the remake of The In-Laws for that same reasons. Like I know you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
You can't capture 1970s lightning in a bottle.
You know what's interesting? I got a new screen for outside, new projector and a new screen, and Mare's birthday's coming up, and we're going to show a movie outside. She doesn't know any of this, but
cool.
she wants to show an 80s film. But the thing is, I know she wants carte blanche with that. She wants to show the film, but it's like we're going to have people over, and I want to show them something that they might actually enjoy.
Right.
And I know if I can do it, I would absolutely show the original Hitcher from 1986 with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. Mm-hmm. Because it is one of the best films to come out of the 80s, and it's one of those films that, you know how they always have those stupid memes, this is the best film you've never seen? The Hitcher might be the best film you've never seen. There's so many people that have never seen it. Guaranteed. Yeah. And it is so well made.
I'm getting used to that now that I'm older. I mean, now that I'm like almost 50, I stop reacting now when coworkers are like, I've never heard of that film. So it's, dude.
Yeah,
we're not talking obscure stuff. I'm not a dick.
I'm talking about people.
What do you mean you haven't seen Della Morte? It's like, right.
I'm talking about people that are generally in our age group.
Yeah.
I know they haven't seen The Hitcher. I talked to someone today that's our age. Uh-huh. He's our age. And I was talking to him about the 1986 film with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell called The Hitcher. And I was like, have you ever seen that? He goes, no, I've never seen that. I've never even heard of it.
Well, because some people don't make watching films their job, Joey. We're not normal. We're not normal.
I saw that on Cinemax when I was 10 years old.
Doesn't mean you're normal.
Oh, I'm definitely not fucking normal. Yeah, it's funny. I got into a conversation very, very recently, only maybe a couple of months ago, and we were talking about movies. And I was with a bunch of people that the group of people that I was with, you would consider to be eclectic and whatnot. And they hadn't seen any of the weird shit that I've seen. And we're talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, I've seen some pretty fucking weird shit. And I started I've seen some shit. And I started rambling off some of the movies, and they're like, I've never heard of that, never heard of that, never heard of that. And to me, it's like, it's not that I'm surprised that you've never seen it, but I'm surprised that you at least have never heard of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just rambled off at least 5 different movies. I'm like, oh yeah, you ever see it? No, I never even heard of that. Okay. It's like you're my age. You should at least have known what this movie is.
Normal people only know 1 or 2 films a year because they just don't care about most of the time, and it's just they don't push themselves to actually watch stuff they don't want to watch.
Yeah,
that's again, we're not normal.
No, it's funny because whenever I go to a site to do work, sometimes they have these machines where you can stand in front of it. It'll take your temperature, And instead of it saying something like your temperature is normal, it'll just tell me, it says, you are normal. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But I'll take the temperature reading, thank you. That's funnier than your reaction. Are you okay?
I'm sorry. I made the mistake of glancing at comments on YouTube.
I mean, you want to talk about ruining a joke earlier. I mean,
I apologize. It's 100% on me. I'm sorry. I think we should wrap up.
I think so.
Oh, I hear voices saying,
in
my head, or
it's my children being yelled at because, they'll sit and watch TV with the remote and lose it while they're watching TV. Don't even know how that's possible.
Oh yeah, I do.
I have the remote. When I put on something that I want to see, I take the remote and I put it down, like on, like the ottoman or just like the coffee table. Mm-hmm. But my children, like, they're yelling right now about not finding the remote because my son's show is playing and he can't turn it off. It just, like, this is what I'm going to, look, when we're done recording, this is what I'm going to go deal with.
Good luck with that.
It's like, fuck me, man. And when my children are old enough to listen to this podcast, they're going to hear that and they'll go, holy shit, let me go apologize to Dad right now.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
It's like, Dad, I am so sorry. I heard episode 347 of Moviesucktastic, where it's like, you really used to? Yes, you really used to do that. Ridiculous. All right, let's end this. All right, everybody. As always, thank you for joining us for another episode of Moviesucktastic. You can go to our website at moviesucktastic.com. You can listen or download the show there. You can go to our iTunes and you can listen or download the show there as well. Just do a search for Moviesucktastic. You can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Moviesucktastic, and you can just see everything that we post there as well. You can leave us email. The address is themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com. If you want to leave us voicemail, it's 908-514-4470. If you want the Android app for your Android device, go to moviesucktastic.com/mst.apk, or download your favorite podcast app, do a search for Moviesucktastic, and we come up there too. Do you have any words of wisdom, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, Bill Cosby's a dirty rapist.
And on that note, we'll see you next week.
The pudding pops.
The pudding pops. Ay. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Pudding pops.